I feel like I might be being punked right now.
No, not at all.
You have nailed something that
Are you serious?
very few people know about me.
Yes. I'm like Narwhal.
This
Is that his name?
is Nardwuar.
Narwhal,
It's
there we go.
exactly like that. I'm having a moment like, how do you know that? Honestly, I consider myself a high-functioning introvert. I can get on stage and I can put on the show, and then I'll probably just drive home in silence, like decompressing from all the
sounds like
energy.
me.
So you have to be brave, you have to be courageous, you have to have a little bit of a self-satisfied, I got this.
Eric, thanks for coming in today.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate your time. We were talking a little bit before the camera started rolling. Don't know a ton about you, but I just saw this like within the past few months or so, this huge rise. You went viral on TikTok. I loved to see that. So let's just kind of start there. I don't want to pigeonhole you into one thing, but like I've seen you as a professional musician, trumpeter. You play the trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
But can you talk a little bit about like how you went viral and what's sort of happened since then, I guess?
Well, it's been crazy to kind of see this. I've been on social media for a while. My wife and I have done some things, and we've had a few videos kind of go a little bit viral in the past. Back when people were singing Disney songs in the car, we did one of those, 8-10 years ago. And that went pretty well. But last summer, I was watching baseball or scrolling through Instagram or something and saw one of the videos where they would take an athlete and mic them up, and then you can kind of hear what they're talking about over on first base or something.
Okay, yeah.
And so I thought, I see this all the time with hockey and football and baseball. I wonder if you could do something like that in an orchestra setting. So I talked to my buddies in the West Texas Symphony in the trumpet section. I said, hey, what do you think if I put some microphones on us and just record the little chit-chat and some of the comments that we're making during rehearsal? And said, that's fine. Nobody's going to watch that. That's stupid, And it was really just a test, but it got picked up pretty quickly.
Okay.
It was unique. No one else was doing that kind of content. I think I had stumbled upon something that was, innovative. And it was immediately understandable by other orchestra musicians across the country and across the world.
Sure, relatable.
It's absolutely relatable. If you can imagine goofy trumpets making comments in the back row, we all do it across every orchestra. So people really picked up on that, and it was a lot of fun. And it was, I was striving to be funny, entertaining. Social media is not always a positive place, so I wanted to do my part in making it positive content. And also trying to send a message that you can take your craft seriously without taking yourself seriously. So a lot of jokes at my own expense, on these reels and these TikToks, forgetting how many measures to count of my rest, or chipping a note, or just some of the little jokes that we make, back behind the scenes. And people seem to really like that. And so that started kind of taking off.
Was that primarily on Instagram first?
Instagram is where I have the biggest following. That's where it got the most views and the most followers.
Okay.
But I was posting on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Okay.
And so several of them also went, did some.
Yeah, if they usually do well on one, they'll do well across the board. If, though, not exactly identically, but that's when you kind of know. If they do well across the board, you've got some gold there, right?
Exactly. And so I was noticing increase in engagement and followers across all three. But you're right. Some would do much better individually on one platform than they would do on another platform. And it was kind of curious. Love to kind of dig into maybe why that is. I don't really know what the secret sauce is, but some would go quite well on one platform and mediocre on another.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a slow, volumetric kind of growth, like just a ton of content, short clips, very short, 10, 15 seconds. And from about August to January, pretty big rise.
Okay.
In followers. I think I started, Instagram had like 2,000 followers back in August. And by January, I think I had 50,000.
Oh, wow.
And so by sometime in January, I think, I just decided to kind of do a random day where I went to pick up my daughter from school, and I had my trumpet in the back seat, and I thought, well, I'm a dad, and dads like to embarrass their kids a little bit.
Sure.
So I'll pick her up from high school by signaling to her out the car sunroof that I'm here on my trumpet. And so I just thought, well, what can I play? And we just pick like some random tune that's easy to play and everybody would know. So did tequila, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and filmed that, upload it that day, and immediately there was some traction there.
Mm.
So within a couple of days, it had a couple of million views.
Wow.
And people start reaching out. We love this. Can we share this? This is wholesome content. Again, I think it was kind of innovative in a way that what people are playing trumpet out the sunroof.
Sure.
It was wholesome. It made people smile.
Yeah.
And what I love most about it is it shows a good, positive relationship between a dad and a daughter.
Absolutely, because a lot of daughters, myself included at that age, would have been like mortified and like, oh my God, mom or dad, you're so embarrassing. And her reaction was like,
Yeah, she was into
she was
it. She was
like,
like,
that was fun.
Yeah.
She was like, I really liked it. I was like, man.
Yeah.
Y'all
that tells a
done
lot
good.
between of your relationship with your daughter, right?
Yeah.
Because typically those sort of parent prank type of thing, it's usually purposely embarrassing, and then the child is like, "Oh, my dad is the worst."
And
Type
sometimes
of thing.
it's like a bad kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because high
Yeah.
school's rough, right? So
It's hard enough.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, high school's hard enough. Well, she's a fun-loving kid, and you're right. I don't always like seeing the parents take advantage of their kids for view counts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fine line. We all understand that some things are embarrassing, and there's kind of an important life goal in learning how to handle embarrassment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place for that, but there's also a place for not necessarily exploiting those things for your own personal gain.
Right.
sure.
So it was a risk, and I kind of knew, well, we'll kind of see how she handles this. And of course, if she hadn't handled it well, it would never have been posted.
Right.
That's fair. Yeah.
But she loves it, and she's a fun-loving kid. She's the kind of kid that will love to, if there's a themed dress-up day, if it's 70s day at school, like she goes all out.
I love it.
She loves to have fun. She loves to laugh. And again, I think she's learned not to take herself too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the word viral in marketing, at least, right? It's sort of a double-edged sword, right? Because I think these days, especially with TikTok, I think over the past few years, like the people that are proactively or consistently posting content, the intent is to go viral. Like it's like, hitting the lottery in a sense, right? Like
Mhm.
everybody knows that they can do it. Everybody wants to do it, but nobody really knows what happens afterwards, right? So did you have a marketing background at any sort? Like you didn't know if it was going to work, and nobody can really sort of predict. As soon as you hit publish, you don't know, right? Is it going to get 200 views, 2 million views? You don't know.
Yeah.
But when you started to see this virality and you started to see this rise, and then you would post over again and kind of do the same thing and incrementally, did you immediately go to, how am I going to make money from this? Or did you immediately go like, what's next? Like, what was going through your head?
Yeah, I'm still asking those questions.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any kind of a marketing background. The only thing that I think I can bring to this is I have a performance background.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I understand a little bit of the mindset of being in front of a crowd of people, trying to give them something that they like. Again, my goals are to keep things positive and be kind of funny and bring together the musician crowd that I know. But of course, this goes beyond just musicians with the whole, now there's like this parenting thing and people are commenting about this positive relationship. And so now that kind of makes me think in a different direction.
Sure.
I noticed a couple of things, and they weren't all positive. I noticed at first over the fall semester, as I started to pick up a lot more followers, I'm getting now reaching milestones, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 followers. There was absolutely a new desire in my brain to be checking social media all the time.
It's the
Yeah.
dopamine hit.
Oh my goodness. And I have to absolutely admit, like, it's there.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for that to sort of wash away so you can think a little bit more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But, it wasn't even ideas of like, oh, I'm famous or this is so great for me. It was different from that. It was just this urge. It was that dopamine. It was like a craving that was kind of removed from just who I was. It was just, well, I wonder what's going on. What's the next comment? Are people still liking this content? It was a struggle. And I
Yeah.
see why this can be an addictive kind of behavior. So
Yeah.
that was the first thing I noticed was like, whew, I need to step back a little bit. Thankfully, most of that is kind of washed over. And I think honestly, some of it is when you get to a certain level. So I just crossed over 140,000 followers on Instagram.
Okay.
There's so much going on with likes, comments, and shares. it's beyond my ability to review everything.
Right.
And now I don't feel the urge to do that. I'm kind of free because it's just so big. I kind of have the luxury now to post and send it away. And if I've got 5 or 6 minutes and I want to respond to a comment or two, I can.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
You don't feel obligated to like most people feel they have to reply to every single comment,
Everyone.
positive or negative. And then there's this aspect of like, where does that end? Right. I think the other side of sort of the dopamine hit, like you're talking about like the engagement side, but like I would say for most people, it's like now you get caught up in, well, what do I have to post next? And how's it going to perform? And you're sort of like
Bigger,
challenging
better.
yourself. Right. And it can have a negative effect, I think. So totally curious about that aspect. Are you going like, okay, what's the next, what's the next little gold nugget that I can find? Right. Is that less of a concern for you in terms, are you still enjoying, I guess?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I think you're always kind of thinking about, right now I think about what can I share? What do people want to know? I think there's this unusual balance where the kind of content that got the most engagement, you want to keep doing that because it's working, right? On the other hand, now that you have a bigger platform, there could be people who are interested in knowing more about, what I do behind the scenes. So they know me as a trumpet player, but do they also know that I'm a father and I've got kids, or I'm on a fun vacation? Do you give more of your personal life
Right.
as a way to supplement that? Or is that just going to detract from what the algorithm pushes?
Yeah.
I absolutely notice on my accounts when I post things that look visually like the trumpets mic'd up content, which has done the best, those posts immediately have higher engagement. Anything that even looks different, if the camera's in a different spot, if I'm using different people, it could be because captioning is different, or it could be because I'm using different hashtags. I'm not really sure. That other engagement falls off significantly from what I'm doing with trumpets mic'd up. That's the biggest content I get.
Interesting.
So I try to recapture and give that same formula, that same template as much as possible. I don't feel like upset, or I don't question or wring my hands and wonder about why this post got only 20% of the views that this other one got.
Sure.
It's kind of it's a game. Like you said, it's like the lottery.
The algorithms are, they're very finicky. And, once you post enough content, that's where you can start to even have enough data to
That's right.
make those determinations. Otherwise, you're like, I don't know. But I agree. Like, as wholesome as it might be, if, you post a video of you and your family at Disney World, right? When the algorithms sort of decided that they've, they're pushing it to people who are interested in this musical / trumpet focused content. The fact of the matter is that it might serve it to those same people, but they're not seeing you with a trumpet in the first couple seconds, and they're like, see you later.
Yep.
Right. And then the algorithm is going to go like, well, that tanked for Eric. Right. So I think it is a game, but I think a lot of people, one, they don't understand how it exactly works, which is fair because it's always changing. But the other side of it is like, now I have to follow the algorithm, right? Now it's like got me on a leash and it's telling me where to go. Right. And then it just kind of controls everything you do.
That's right.
At this point, right, it sounds to me that you're just like, hey, you're enjoying this content. The people engage with it. They enjoy this content. It doesn't sound like you're putting any pressure on yourself to kind of like turn this into something per se.
No, I've had a few opportunities. So I've had a company reach out that sells trumpet related products.
Sure.
And they said, hey, can we send you some things to review? And I said, sure. Like, I'll be open and honest. It's like, hey, I'm just going to give you the review of these things, but if you would like to do that, I'd be more than welcome to receive those things. I kind of went through all the various monetization processes for all three of the platforms that we mentioned earlier. By far, the best producing monetarily is Meta. Facebook and Instagram are shared, so that helps.
Yeah.
TikTok, I have gotten some payments, but I got humbled really fast when I got that first check from TikTok, and it was like $12.87.
Yeah.
I was like, well, Eric Baker's not quite as famous as he thinks he is, so I'm just going to go ahead and relax here and not chase this as much because,
Yeah, I think people get very, like, everybody, obviously, they're like, influencers, like, the number one job title of the teens, right? Gen Z, right now is like, I want to be an influencer. But I think a lot of people don't understand that like these monetization formulas or packages, right? They're vastly different, right? Meta's way different than TikTok. And it's not until you even can get into that world to truly understand, because everybody's thinking like, I don't know, I'll get 1 million views and then, I can earn a living from TikTok. And I would say the vast majority of people are like, oh, it turns out that's not true.
If you can live off $12,
That's pretty good. I mean,
and 87 cents.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. And I thought that TikTok was one of the higher paying ones.
TikTok has their creator fund. And again, the people out there, I'm not monetized by TikTok, but I've been in this long enough to kind of know how these work. They have a creator fund. Creator fund is crap because it's just shared money, and it's a pool. And the fact of the matter is that your content is not beating Kim Kardashian's
Or
Sorry
Charlie
about it.
D'Amelio. Or
right, or any of those, like the professional creators, right? The conglomerates, you're not beating them. They're sucking up all the most of the creator fund, and everybody else is just divvied out. That's why you see things like TikTok Shop pop up, which is going like, hey, you can still make a ton of money, but you have to be an affiliate of this product who you probably don't even care about, or you can hopefully sell your own products. And that's where I can become an entrepreneur. I can become a self-sustaining solo business off of product that I create or service or whatever, and then a ton of people buy it. Now, I would say that TikTok, just like any other, I don't know, sort of like, I'm not going to say scam. I'm not going to say pyramid scheme. I'm not going to say that. But, you're by and large going to see the content where it's worked for that person. Right? Like, if everyone could win a lottery, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, then everybody would win $1.
Right.
Right. So not everybody can win. But it is great to see that you have been, you have been monetized and you have been sort of paid, for your content. Curious to know, like, where has YouTube factored into this at all?
Not yet. So I'm a little late to the game on that, but I have created a Trumpets Mic'd Up YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I'll probably release all that previous content as shorts.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I have. I have thought about maybe trying to do some more long form content. The idea of Trumpets Mic'd Up, maybe something like this, where my colleague Ben and I sit down with other famous trumpet players and just chat with them for a few minutes at local either TMEA or the various music conferences that are around the country. And maybe we can kind of target someone and say, hey, would you sit down and just talk to us about your career? Then we've got a little bit more long form. And so that works a little better for YouTube with, the ads and just kind of how that's based.
Yeah.
But I need to sit down and re-upload the previous content into YouTube and try to capture maybe a different market.
Yeah.
So but we haven't done that yet.
Sure. So when you say do you have a team or what?
No,
oh, okay.
no. We meaning I try to make sure that the other guys that are in those videos with me are a part of this.
I see.
They're fine to just sort of let me run with it.
Yeah.
We do have some merchandise. So got graphic designer who designed a logo for Trumpets Mic'd Up.
Okay.
We've got T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, things that, young band kids would like to have. So patches, stickers, T-shirts.
Very cool.
So we're selling a little bit of that.
Y'all had to split that $12.87?
We did. We each got half a coffee.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, all right,
say.
well, one of us is not going to eat at Chipotle today, but so you mentioned something earlier about like, entertaining content, right? And I would say that like the vast majority of people posting content on any of the social networks are just regular people.
Right.
Right? They're not professional creators. They're not business owners. They're not agencies. They're just essentially bored people who are like, that looks funny. I think I could do that. I'm funny, right? Or I can dance, you know what I mean? Or I can sing, or I can play the trumpet, right? So that being said, I think there's this aspect of too many people focus on entertaining, right? Where I think there's a huge, piece of value that you can present. And this is why I'm saying this is because have you thought about just creating educational style content? That's obviously entertaining, but I mean, in my world, in my brain, I'm going like, you could create a whole, YouTube channel just on how to play the trumpet. My assumption would be, right? Like, is that in your sort of purview?
Not immediately. There are, thankfully, a lot of wonderful people who are doing that specific piece.
Yeah.
Trumpet professors at various universities will do that, or people who have developed a pretty robust curriculum around trumpet playing. And again, there's that monetization piece. So they'll go on to social media and say, are you having trouble learning your scales? Here are 3 tips that I use to learn my scales. And by the way, sign up at my website.
Sure.
And you can get this free PDF download, or you could be registered into this course where you get all this extra content. And so people have kind of built these businesses out of teaching. And of course, we've seen that across a multitude of genres, not only music, but, home improvement and how-tos. So it's not immediately in my plan for what's next. I don't really know what's next. Like I said, it's been 6-7 months.
Yeah.
Kind of just getting my bearings, learning the landscape of things, trying to figure out how to do merchandise and how to do the monetization and how to do some of these things. I still have to I choose to do all my own editing. So we'll record and we know how it is.
Same.
Yeah, it is. That's the real hard part.
Yeah.
And so the editing part takes a while. I'll record one of our rehearsals. And just for anybody because there's a lot of comments that say, I can't believe you guys are talking during your concert. We never filmed the concert. We only film rehearsals.
Gotcha.
And only the first rehearsal when things are a little loose anyway.
Yeah.
Subsequent rehearsals, it's all business. Cameras are away. We're focused on making the best music we can. Again, take your craft seriously. Don't take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
But that's, a 2.5-hour rehearsal. And the way that I'm doing this is I've got each person on an individual microphone, and they're not all being synced up to the video. They're just individual recorders.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I've got at least 4 audio tracks to line up and then edit, and it takes a long time.
Did you know about editing prior to this, or was like
Only a little?
Okay.
Final Cut Pro. Just a little bit of some of the, and then a few of the. I'm an Apple guy, so like Logic.
Okay.
For the DAW, like just basic things, not great, but I do have 3 young girls, and so they are hip to what is cool and fun and the various editing apps out there and what makes things engaging for that generation. So I'll usually kind of say, "Hey, is this funny?" and let the professionals,
that's
my
your seed
creative,
audience?
That's my editing team, my creative quality control.
Yeah.
And I'll say, "Is this funny?" "Oh, that's funny, Dad." Great, it gets posted.
Excellent. Yeah, finally we've got somebody to edit this podcast for us, right? But produce, a dozen other podcasts, and then still with the social media clips, they take time. And that's what I was thinking. I was going like, you've got to be recording for a couple hours to get a handful of clips.
That's
right?
it.
That you would even think of like, okay, this is probably somewhat, engaging.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of time. I would definitely want to push you towards the YouTube world. Honestly, not necessarily for the shorts aspect, because newsflash, it's not like you're going to make a ton more money out of shorts.
It takes a long time to get monetized that way.
If you were just posting shorts on YouTube, first of all, YouTube, you need 1,000 subscribers, and then you need 4,000 watch hours. That would be the long form. I want to say it's like 30 million views in shorts within a 90-day window, and the 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Right? So it's a big leap. I think it's really just reserved, again, for the already monster creators who are out there that are like, might as well clip it out for shorts.
Like the Mr. Beast. And
you know what I mean? Those are going to crush every single time. But I would say that the Divi, we can even see the Divi is like 10% shorts, 90% long form. But man, I'd be curious. I did see that I saw your channel. Trump is mic'd up. I saw there's like one video so far, something like that, right?
Something like that.
But man, I would really encourage you. Everything you're talking about, like interview style. But I really feel like that educational. Is there something about it where you're going like, you don't want to encroach on the educators out there? Like it would still be entertaining content, but it's
no, I'm not sure yet. I haven't developed mentally what specifically I would focus in on.
Sure.
Teaching the trumpet is a very subjective kind of a world.
Okay.
There are some general principles, but then everyone brings a certain secret sauce, to their recipe. So the way that someone might say, well, you need to play your scales this way because it translates this, and someone else would say, no. Scales are better performed this way, or yes, you should buzz just the mouthpiece to develop your embouchure. And some people would say, no, that doesn't approximate playing the trumpet. You shouldn't do that. So I'm kind of just gathering what works best for me. And when I have something that I think I can really put out in a structured way, I would absolutely do that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I might also consider, I'll be going down to San Angelo next month to do a masterclass and a concert.
Oh, cool.
So maybe filming the masterclass and just grabbing, again, mostly short form, but if I get the whole thing and it works well, now I've got a bit more of a long form content that's more educationally based and doesn't necessarily have to be me saying, here are the 10 steps to being a pro at the trumpet.
Yeah.
It's just more organic.
Right.
Usually you're working with another trumpet student on a piece that they've prepared. You're giving them the tips and tricks and kind of walking them through how you would approach it. Hopefully it works for them. But that would be a great way to do educational content without necessarily needing to package it or
Right. Personally, I don't think it has to be necessarily like a course per se versus that aspect of like, YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world next to Google. Google owns it.
And they own it.
Right? So naturally people are going to go on there and go like, how do I play the trumpet? Or how do I do this and this? Right? And so where my brain goes to is just like those, what questions do you get asked most often? Right? Even from the community that you've built, those are easy videos to then produce without it being like this, like, it's not a university level style course per se, like all these different things. It's just going like, here's something that I think could be educational, but also inspirational to the people who are like, I want to become a professional musician, or I just want to learn, even from a hobbyist perspective, or just get better, right? So, like, I think there's so many opportunities for you where I love to hear that you're just like, you're just getting started, really, and this wasn't like, you didn't post the first post to go like, okay, my intent is to get famous and post, right?
Right. This is step one
and
in my
rich.
12-step plan.
Yes. And get rich. Okay, so let's talk about your background as a whole. So like, how did you get started in the musical world as a whole?
Well, my parents, were amateur musicians, would do music in the church growing up. So mom plays the organ, dad sang all the time around the house. And so music was a big part of my life growing up. And then in 6th grade here in Texas, that's when you can start band. And so I got in the band and wanted to be a drummer. I think as all 6th grade boys.
Same.
Want to be a drummer.
Still do. 40 years later.
That's
I
right.
Still do.
So then mom and dad said, absolutely not. That's way too loud. You're going to learn something with a melody. And so trumpet was next.
Yeah.
And so started trumpet and was blessed to have great teachers, great band directors, was blessed to have a good environment where people would challenge one another. And I think I look back on it now, it was really good that I was never the first chair top player. It was usually second. There was always someone in my band program that was pushing me and demonstrating things that were beyond my abilities. Because I think I probably would have been less motivated if I were the best.
Yeah.
Like when you're on top, like, I'm better than all these other people. I don't have to work as hard.
Yeah.
But knowing that there was, a colleague that could do a few more things than me pushed me a lot. So went to college, music education. Was pretty sure I'd be a band director. Was really, I think, informed and blessed by those previous directors and teachers, and I wanted to pay that back. And thought, man, this is a great way to make a living. You get to do music. You get to teach kids. Let's do that. And as I was finishing up my degree, I was having a chat with a mentor, and I asked him. He was a trumpet player and a band director. And I just kind of casually said, so how much do you get to still play your trumpet? He said, hardly ever. Being a top-level band director, especially in the state of Texas, with your marching bands, your competitions, it's very high level. It's a consuming job. I don't really get to play my trumpet anymore. It was a bit of a gut check, for me. And I thought, man, I've put a lot of time into this instrument. I don't think I want to necessarily set it aside. So I made a little bit of a promise to myself to say, let me see if I can get into grad school as a trumpet major, like as a performance major, not education. And was blessed to get into a grad school and finished there. And as I was finishing up, that was Arizona State. I went there to get a master's in trumpet. And as I was finishing up there, looking for my first orchestral job, a position to open up here in Midland in the West Texas Symphony. So I auditioned for that, and we moved here in 2006 to start playing with the West Texas Symphony.
Nice.
So we've been here since, and love it here. This is our home. Love
Yeah.
West Texas. I've got our 3 girls being raised here. They love it. So that's kind of my background. Through high school band, did all the band things you could imagine, marching band and drum and bugle corps while I was in college, and toured around the summers and competed and did some of those things. And have been in the symphony for, 18 years, I guess now, something like that.
When you go through that, when you go to college for a performance, I'm very naive. I've never played an instrument, sadly. But as a trumpet player, like, where's the pinnacle? Is the symphony, as an orchestra, is that the pinnacle? Like, I kind of think like, I don't know. Is it like, well, you've got the Tonight Show, I guess that band, and Saturday Night Live, right, and stuff like that. And so,
fun.
like, where were you thinking? Like, ultimately, you want to end up in a symphony, but like, what were some other options for you?
It's a great question. In the arts world like that, I don't know if there is a pinnacle for everyone. It's really driven by what you love to do and what you're passionate about. I love orchestra music. I remember being a senior in high school, and that was the one year in my high school that I made the Texas All-State Band. It's a fantastic achievement. It's very difficult to do. Kudos to all those young people who do that, especially those who do it multiple years.
Mm-hmm.
I finally squeaked in as a senior, and our high school did not have an orchestra. We had band. And one of the first things they do is they put all the string players from the orchestra, all the wind and percussion players from the top band, and all the singers from the top choir in Texas All-State together for a big opening ceremony. And we played the national anthem and God Bless America. And as soon as the strings started coming in and playing, my eyes got really big because I'd never heard that sound on the stage before. I'd been to a symphony, I'd kind of seen it, but being surrounded by it was a really thrilling experience. So for me, that became the pinnacle for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've also worked with players, and really some of the top level players in the world are people that you would never know their face, maybe not even know their name, but they play on every album you've ever heard. They play on every movie soundtrack you've ever heard. We have a group. I'm the president of the West Texas Jazz Society, nonprofit group out here. And each year we bring in 10 players from Los Angeles who work in recording and film and TV. And we do a series for local students called From Bebop to Hip Hop. And we basically show students that all the music that they like to listen to today, Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, all the main artists that they love, that music has its roots in jazz and blues and other styles.
Yeah.
So we try to demonstrate a wide history of styles of music, and we use the players that these young people would appreciate and would respect. So we had a trumpet player this year that we brought in, and we had two of them that we brought in. One plays on every Pixar movie you've ever heard.
Wow.
So all of the trumpet solos that you might hear in Coco or The Incredibles, that's Dan Fornero. He plays on those. He's there in front of the students. Oh my goodness, I love him. We brought in another man, Mike Cordone. He does all the music for The Masked Singer. He does all the music. He's recorded and won Grammys with Lizzo and Pharrell. I mean,
Wow.
So these students really appreciate him.
Yeah.
That, to me, would be another pinnacle of performance, to make the music that the whole world loves to listen to. So orchestra, some people love to be teachers. I have a master's in trumpet. I could have gone on to get a doctorate degree in trumpet.
Dr. Trumpet?
Doctor of Trumpet. That's a whole...
Man, I think that's your new YouTube channel.
That's a career path right there.
Okay.
So that is more geared for if you want to be at the university level to teach the next generation of trumpets. So you really do deep dives into the history of trumpet, the repertoire for trumpet, a lot of nerdy trumpet things to really push your knowledge of that, so that you could go to Texas Tech and be the trumpet professor there, train other people how to do that. So there are a lot of pinnacles and a lot of opportunities for musicians. For me, orchestra was one of those, for sure. I also love to play in brass quintet. It's just 5 of us. There's no conductor. It's just what we call chamber music. We get to decide what repertoire we want to play. We get to decide how slow or how fast we want to do it. And all of those creative decisions are left up to us. And it's really fulfilling as a creator to make music on your own terms.
Yeah.
So there's another pinnacle. But there's not just one way to do that.
Interesting.
I have a silly question.
Please.
Did you have braces in high school?
I escaped. I never had braces.
I was wondering because
that
would
definitely
hurt.
affects
Yeah.
all brass players. But yeah, trumpet players and French horn players and trombone players.
I mean, like I played the flute briefly because my
did?
mom. Yeah.
All right.
My mom also did not want me to play the drums. But when I got braces, just holding the flute, like I remember just like packing my teeth with the wax.
The
but
wax. Mhm.
My lip would be chewed up.
Yeah, it's very difficult for
Yeah.
young people to have to deal with that. And sometimes it happens right there in late middle school, early high
Yeah.
school, when you're kind of getting good at your instrument. And for some kids, it's so hard.
Yeah.
And it can be almost just as bad when they come off because you've learned for 2 years how to play with braces and now
Yeah.
they're not there. And it's almost like you're starting over.
Yeah.
I escaped. I did not have to have braces.
Well, you're lucky.
I'm very fortunate.
Did you always stick with the trumpet, or did you play other instruments? And you were just like, what is it like? What's the type of person that's like, I'm a trumpet person, then I'm a French horn person, I'm a flutist. Like, is it a personality thing, or is it just purely just a love of that instrument?
Oh, yeah. So I think like in Harry Potter, they say the wand chooses you. We have that same joke. Like the instrument chooses you.
Okay.
That's kind of what made trumpets mic'd up so accessible is because we're just we're 3 trumpet bros
Yeah.
that do the normal trumpet shenanigans that you would expect from trumpet bros, right? So there are tons of memes about the various personalities of a flutist and of a trumpet player, of a percussionist.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, I fit solidly into the stereotypical trumpet guy. I think I escaped without too much of the arrogance part. Hopefully I want to be a very humble trumpet player. But
are there egos between the different? I mean, in an orchestra or in a setting. I mean, is like
does one horn player think they're better than?
Yes, stereotypically speaking.
Okay.
Right? We're being very generalistic
sure.
here.
You don't have to put anybody on blast. I get you.
The trumpet
Paul.
players
Just kidding.
the trumpet players are the egos.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Right.
All right.
And I think I'll give it the most charitable interpretation. If you play the trumpet, there's nowhere to hide. I mean, your bell faces the audience.
Yeah.
And you play high and loud and important fanfare type things. A composer will use the trumpet voice when something important is happening. So you have to be brave. You have to be courageous. You have to have a little bit of a self-satisfied, I got this swag about
Yeah.
you. You
Okay.
know, like you've got to kind of own it because there's no hiding in the trumpet world.
I would feel like any sort of like a area of the orchestra that has solos, I would imagine, right? Like, is there a xylophone solo? I don't
Absolutely.
know. Oh, well, all right.
I mean,
Yeah.
trumpets are loud.
Yeah.
They
It's
are.
not like a flute where it's like, I feel like soft and like melodic.
Oh, you're just floating across the stage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they're like colors, right, to a
Yeah.
painter. And so a composer will use a different instrument to achieve a certain effect or desired, it kind of elicit a feeling from the
Yeah.
audience. And so we kind of have our roles in the orchestra. It's a beautiful thing. One of my trumpet heroes is Wynton Marsalis.
Tonight Show. No,
No.
the brother.
Well,
His
yes.
brother was?
The whole Marsalis family.
Gotcha.
Branford,
there
the
you go.
saxophone player, the whole Marsalis family are all musical geniuses. Wynton plays the trumpet. He's the director of Jazz at Lincoln Center in New York
Oh, wow.
and is an incredible educator and inspiring human being. And he talks about jazz music specifically, but I think you can expand the analogy out. Jazz is the best form it's a great metaphor for democracy. Every voice is different, but they're all needed. You learn in music to express your voice when it's appropriate and to back away and let someone else have their moment when it's time. And so there's a lot of lessons we can learn about society, and what he calls the best metaphor for democracy is jazz music.
I love
But
that.
yeah, in an orchestra, we all have our role.
Mm-hmm.
And any instrument can be a soloist. I certainly don't mean to say that only trumpets have this hard job. Every job is hard in different ways. Violinists and flutists especially have to be quite virtuosic. The technical requirements and the sheer volume of notes that they play in a concert is incredible. But we all have a different job to play. And so I think the longer you go in your career in music, the more you have to adopt certain traits, or maybe the inherent traits that you have make you more suited for your role in an orchestra or in a band. But of course, we're humans and we're messy, and so some people could be a very good trumpet player if you're a shy, introverted person.
That could be your outlet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I consider myself a high functioning introvert. I can get on stage and I can put on the show, and then I'll probably just drive home in silence, like decompressing from all the
Sounds like
energy.
me.
Post-mortem type of thing.
Exactly.
So you went to a party school.
Arizona State.
For sure. I mean, have you ever, outside the orchestra, were you ever in any like small bands or like I feel like you're a ska band kind of guy.
It's unbelievable that you said that. Have you found something online that I don't know about?
No, but I grew up in Las Vegas. Okay. So even my high school mascot was a Sun Devil. So I know all about Arizona State.
There you go.
Very close. But at the time, I went to the high school in the 90s. It was all ska bands. And I'm going like, I get a ska band. I get a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones vibe from you, Eric.
I feel like I might be being punked right now.
No, not at all.
You have nailed something that
Are you serious?
very few people know about me.
Yes. I'm like Narwhal. Is that his name?
Narwhal.
Narwhal,
It's
there we go.
exactly like that. I'm having a moment like, how do you know that?
I was literally trying to go like, what types of bands would have primarily trumpet players? I'm going like, oh, of course. Of course, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. But ska in general, I'm going like, I know I've heard some trumpet and MXPX songs and stuff like that. That's my era, right?
Unbelievable.
So I'm like, so you were in a ska band, for sure.
In the first semester that I was at Arizona State, we had just gotten married. We are dirt poor. I mean, my wife was working as an elementary music teacher. Arizona does not pay well for teachers. I'm in school. We are broke. I'm looking for any kind of income I can get. So I go to the bulletin board there in the music building, and there it says, needed trumpet player for local ska band.
Yes. Yes.
I had zero ska experience. I did not know what I was getting into. I made a phone call. Guy was super friendly. Come on over. We'll have a rehearsal. It was sketchy from minute one, but I loved it. So we go in. I have to learn a few songs. I think we probably did like 5 gigs. I don't even think I got paid for a single one. Like
Sounds about right.
Don't
You
even
got
know if I
paid
got
in
paid.
Memories.
Yes.
But I played in Phoenix's own The Upsteadies.
Okay.
That was the name of the band.
Okay.
The Upsteadies. They did mostly originals and then a few covers of like traditional ska.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. Like I didn't get paid anything.
Sure.
But I learned a lot. I learned about how to work with people, how to rehearse. I came from an orchestral background. Our music is written out.
Yeah.
Beethoven tells me, play these notes.
Right.
And then I show up for this rehearsal. It's just in some dude's living room. And he's like, all right, well, the first song kind of goes like this. And we're just going to learn it by rote. Huh. And then I would have to kind of make some notes to myself. But these are excellent musicians, but they're not like trained or professional musicians.
Yeah.
And that's another thing to remember is I work in an academic setting where we are training musicians. The world is full of incredibly talented amateurs who never got a degree, but who worked their butt off and learned in a garage or played in
It probably, might not even be able to read your musical notes, right?
Yeah, Louis Armstrong didn't read music.
Yeah.
He changed the world with music.
Yeah. Dave Grohl learned how to play the drums on his pillows in his bedroom.
Yeah.
He also said he ripped off for the first Nirvana album. I don't know why I just saw this, but a lot of it was inspired by the Gap Band and disco at that time. And he was telling this to Pharrell, and Pharrell was like, I would never. And then he played the music. He's like, he's like, yeah, the Gap Band was literally this riff, and he's like, man, this is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So it's really just your interpretation.
Yeah, but that was my foray into ska, and it lasted maybe a year, 9 months, and then I think either the band folded or I just said, I'm sorry, I'm graduating, I'm gonna bail.
All right,
So
I got to search
if they're out
for
there,
this footage.
we got to look for the Upsteadies if they're still going.
That's a great name, by the way. I feel like you've got a whole new vibe of new content that you can put out there. You could just do old No Doubt covers, MXPX. And those will resonate even today.
Who's
it was great.
MXPX?
Oh, fantastic band. Oh. I think I went to the first, at least when I traveled to Vegas. Now it's not Lollapalooza, but it's the grungier one. It's usually put on by Vans back in the day.
Warped Tour?
Warped Tour. There you go. I think I went to the
worked it.
first Warped Tour, and MXPX was there. Boss Sounds. Stage diving.
It's happy. It's happy music.
100%.
It's just really upbeat, positive, happy music.
I just remember it from Clueless.
Right.
Fine.
It was that was
Yeah.
my foray. I can't believe that you just stumbled upon that.
I didn't picture you as like a slow type of like trumpeting, like low volume type of stuff in a smaller band,
Yeah.
right? I'm going
Yeah.
like, he's got ska vibes. I know he does.
Crazy.
Okay, so let's talk about what are you doing today? What is your role today? You work for the University of Texas, Permian Basin,
That's right.
UTPB for those out there. What is your role there? You're in a new role, yeah?
Yeah, it's a brand new job. They just created it for this academic year. It's the Director of Community Engagement for Music and Arts. And it was a role created at a vice presidential level. So there's a vice president for community engagement, but then they also have a director level, which is me, specifically for music and the arts. And that serves one of the four main pillars of the university's vision moving forward, to serve the region, right? Universities want to make sure that the local residents are getting enrichment and improvement, and the quality of life from top to bottom at every demographic is being served by the university. So at University of Texas Permian Basin, we try to think large but live local. And so at a university, you've got a couple of pretty easy outward-facing elements. You have your athletic programs. That brings in a lot of people for games. And then you have your arts. We bring people in for concerts. We do these events in these two sort of arms of a university. So my job is to connect people. And it's about to make sure that the community knows what we're doing in the music and arts programs. It's to make sure that our music students are out in the community serving them. So this spring, we're going to have a community music day where our music majors will just scatter in small groups of 2 or 3 and go to different places. They might go to the mall. They might go to Manor Park. They might go to different places where people are going to be. Just play some music.
I love that.
Very simple, but just kind of a mini flash mob kind of a thing. You
Sure.
might be at Chick-fil-A and all of a sudden there's a flute student,
Yeah.
playing through some repertoire.
I love it.
So we're going to empower them to go out, make sure they have what they need to just bless our local community. That's one way that we're trying to encourage this community engagement with music and arts. So my job is a little bit of recruiting. I go out and talk to local students and let them know about the opportunities they would have at UTPB. I do a little bit of advancement. I work with companies and industries and say, how can our students make your jobs and your lives better? We're working on getting some of our art students to get some of their work hosted in different places, different businesses. So you might walk into a bank and see some beautiful artwork on a temporary or rotating basis of local students, just to beautify our community and
Nice.
kind of give back and let people know what we're doing. And like I said, it's a brand new job. It's different every day. I get to create what that is. And it's really beautiful now that I kind of have a platform of my own to then share that. It's been wonderful
Yeah.
for my career
Sure.
that their director of community engagement and music is doing well
Yeah.
on social media and has a platform locally and beyond to share some of those things.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
It's really cool to hear that. Like, Tara's originally from Midland. I moved here from Las Vegas. So even certain things I'm still finding out about or learning. So this is very cool. And then her son is moving here next month. He's
In
18.
a few weeks.
A few weeks, yeah. 3
All
weeks.
right.
18. So, definitely would like to have him talk to you. Doesn't
Is he
necessarily have a
musicals
musical
too?
background, but just kind of was like interested in.
His grandfather's musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's in the music industry. So primarily working behind the scenes, background vocals as a
Mhm.
singer, working in those terms. But yeah, he's my dad's like, my son has a great voice,
Mhm.
so he's like wanting him to go like, he could do voiceover stuff. He could do. I'm just like, Dad, relax. I mean, I've got a bunch of microphones. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But just in general, just like getting to meet people his age and understand that, like, yes, this is Midland, Odessa is smaller than Las Vegas and the Pacific Northwest, but there's a lot going on here, and it's only growing.
And the community is just
the community's great.
like more tight knit. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
I agree. Moving here in 2006, I grew up in Fort Worth.
Okay.
And so just knew the larger metroplex sort of area and moved here. Didn't know a lot about Midland, Odessa. And I came here and I thought, you can do anything you want creatively here.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a little bit smaller, but because humans love and are hungry for the arts or entertainment or things to do in West Texas, you can create almost anything you want. So I learned pretty quickly that the more versatile you are, the more marketable you are. So I can go out and perform as a soloist. I'll go to local restaurants, right? And I'll just play some quiet background jazz, ambient music while people dine. I can do that all by myself. My wife and I have a duo where we do sort of acoustic covers of popular songs, adult contemporary stuff, perfect for like a hotel lobby, a coffee shop, wine bar, that kind of stuff.
Like Texas Sun Winery.
We've been to Texas Sun Winery. Love them. So then we've got a little 5-piece band, a little bigger, a little more of a jazz, and we can get a little louder if we wanted to. And then we have a 9-piece rock band that plays weddings and corporate parties.
Okay.
And I mean, we've just created all of these things, and we stay very, very busy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's not quite as big. It's not a Las Vegas. It's not, a Seattle, but you're also not competing with 10,000 other really good trumpet players who are all trying to get a piece of that pie.
Right.
Yeah.
You can come out here, and if you are a great hang, if you're kind and professional and you play well, you will be successful.
Yeah.
So, and if he is looking at getting any assistance, or if he wants to take classes or study, have him hit me up.
Definitely
we'll
will,
get
yeah.
him sorted out.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming in today.
One last question.
Okay.
Are your children also musicians?
They are.
Nice.
They are. Yeah. So my wife and I are both music educators, and we've got 3 daughters. And my plan for world domination is for them to sing some really close harmony bluegrass music and, or whatever it is, and become very famous. No, the girls are exceptionally musical. They've all taken some piano lessons. We think that's pretty important, formative stuff. Got to start on piano. And our family has been blessed the last 2 years to sing with the West Texas Symphony as guest artists on their Christmas concert. So we do a big holiday concert every year. And a couple years ago, I realized that all 5 of us would be on the stage together because I play trumpet in the symphony, but my wife leads the symphony children's choir.
Aww.
So any kid from 2nd to 8th grade can audition to be in the symphony children's choir. And for that 1 year, all of my daughters were 2nd through 8th grade. And so I realized they're going to be on the stage. I'm going to be on the stage. My wife's going to be. The whole Baker family is going to be here performing with our local symphony. I was like, this is cool. So I brought it up to the leadership, and I said, if there's space on it, we could sing a song all together. They let us do it. It went off beautifully, and they said, well, you got to come back again next year.
I love it.
So I've got them singing some really fun jazzy things like the Andrews Sisters, that old school 3-part jazz harmony, and they're very comfortable being on stage and singing. And
I love it.
I'm really pushing them. If I can get them on the Kelly Clarkson show, that'd be great.
Yes.
So
I have some friends in TV in LA.
All right, here's my pitch. This is a true story. My wife and I are getting married. We're getting all of her stuff out of her parents' house to move, and she's going through some old boxes, and she finds an old judge's results sheet from All-State Choir when she was in high school. And she's like, oh, yeah, this is from the year that I made All-State. There's my name. And she's looking through some of the old names. Oh, I remember this person. I went to school with this. And she flips it over, and on the back, Kelly Clarkson, Burleson High School.
Oh, wow.
The Kelly Clarkson. So
I always forget she's from Texas.
She's from Texas. So at one point, my wife beat Kelly Clarkson in a singing competition.
Framed up.
It
they
is
need
framed.
to have a
Yes.
sing-off.
We saw her live when we lived in Phoenix. She came through. We went to the concert. We brought the sheet, and we kind of showed it to the security backstage, and they said, this is pretty cool. So we didn't get to meet her then, but they did take it back to her, and she signed it. And so we've got it framed.
I love it.
And all the years that my wife was teaching elementary music, if her kids ever gave her any lip or like back talked and, oh, we don't think that's a very cool idea, she'd say, oh, I'm sorry. Did you beat multi-Grammy award-winning Kelly Clarkson?
Yeah.
No, just me? Okay, then we're going to do it my way, She showed those kids who
I
was
feel
cool.
like there's a reality show in here somewhere.
Absolutely.
With the family. I mean, so now I get it that like you're just incredibly busy because everything you're saying to me, I'm going like, how is this not on YouTube? All of this would crush. Just you and your wife playing covers. I was like, man, this is the stuff you see on social media and on YouTube all day.
Yeah.
But you've got a lot of plates you're juggling.
It is,
now.
but it's a beautiful place. Again, it gets back to, Midland and Odessa aren't maybe known for being these large metropolitan meccas.
Sure.
people love the arts here. People are hungry for it. They support it. We have felt very blessed and very just welcomed and loved in our community. And it just gives us a lot of excitement to go out and stay busy and continue to just make where we live a little bit better, you know. And that's why this is such a great podcast as well, right? It's the best of Midland, and we're just trying to show and demonstrate, you know, all the various ways that we can make our community better. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you coming on. It is called Best of Midland. We also own Best of Odessa, but it's a lot to do multiple podcasts. That's crazy. But we're not only Midland. That's the thing. We're not the, you know.
Nor are we, man.
Yeah.
We're out in the community. Like I said, we've lived in both towns.
Give us all of West Texas. We're happy with that. So in that vein, I mean, listen, love having you on. Please let us know however we can help in any capacity. You know, love to promote what you're up to and what you're doing, and love to spread the word and love to spread the positivity, which is exactly what you're doing. So thanks again, man. Is there anything else you wanted to plug? We'll put all your links obviously in your social media, your account, but
no, just people can reach out anytime. I'm a servant-hearted person. I always want to help and do what I can to make things better for other people. So my job now is all about connection.
Yeah.
So I just want to meet people and come up with some fun ideas.
Awesome. Thanks again. All right. Well, be on the lookout for Eric's new ska album dropping this year, and we'll see you on the next one. All right. Bye.